Hey guys, welcome to my midwinter garden tour. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jen. We have half an acre in South Taranaki in New Zealand, and we've lived here for just over 4 years, and I am learning as I go. I started knowing pretty much nothing about gardening, and I've learned a lot in the last 4 years. This bed needs attention. I really need to give it a bit of love this spring. There's some self-seeded calendula and alyssum, some purple passion that's still going, and pretty much just a mess, so I need to sort that out. This is my dwarf hydrangea. Middle of winter, not looking great, very bare. These are obviously deciduous, but lots of fresh growth getting ready to come back in spring. Got foxgloves there. The daphne has started to open. This is how this bed is looking. The daphne started flowering and it smells amazing. I really wanted winter interest in my garden, so you'll see there is colour, there are things blooming. I've been very intentional about that and it's starting to work. These are Tennesseetum, but there's loads of weeds in there as well. Foxgloves, some Phacelia that's self-seeded. Roses, I'm not great with roses. This is an Escalonia. Self-seeded alyssum. Another daphne, more foxgloves back there, and loads of weeds. You always hear that in my garden tours, loads of weeds, loads of weeds. These are self-seeded petunias in there, and a succulent that's not really growing as happily as I had hoped. This is how tall our corfai is, our citizenship tree. It is taller than me now, so that's doing really well in that spot. We have the hollyhocks. And then these are my beautiful hydrangeas. July is when they look their worst. They're just bare sticks coming out of the ground. They look amazing in summer though. I've planted some evergreen shrubs in between. So we have loropetalum. There's some lupins and things that I'm hoping will come back. Dwarf azaleas. Look at those. Isn't that so pretty? So like I mentioned, I really wanted winter interest. I don't want my garden to be bare sticks and things in the winter. I still wanted to have colour and form. So putting in things like evergreen shrubs like the loropetalum and azaleas and things gives it that form and structure, and there's interest in the foliage and then of flowers as well. So that's starting to work. Like, it took me a while to figure that out, but hopefully in a few years' time my garden will look amazing all year round. We can only hope. Osteospermum. This garden needs a bit of attention too. We have violets that are spilling out. These are Arum italicum. They do really well. They actually died off, a couple of them, and they've come back really well. Dwarf stock that's still blooming away since the day I planted them out. These are sowed from seed about 3 years ago, and they just bloom year round. They're supposed to be annuals. Before I show you this bed, I'm actually going to just swing around and show you these pots because I always forget. So I have pieris in these pots. They seem to be doing okay. They're starting to bud up, ready to flower in spring. I didn't cut off the old flowers last year, which I probably should do. And these pots, I've got some primulas in. Not doing so well. They're flowering, but they're not overly happy. Okay, so going back to this bed, that's our garage, that is our guest house. We have a red robin here, a Photinia. That was just kind of an extra one we had that we stuck in there. I don't know if it's going to stay. This is all oreganum, which I've cut back. This flowers, beautiful purple flowers in summer. We have some aquilegia or columbine or granny's bonnets or whatever you call them. And some self-seeded candy tuft and alyssum and things, but it's not looking great. This looks gorgeous in summer, so I need to give this a bit of attention and put in things that look good in winter. This bed, same. Lavender, got some self-seeded calendula, more oreganum. This is another dwarf hydrangea, and I've just spotted my tulips coming up. That's exciting. Signs of spring, and we are midway through winter, but I'll take it. finally fixed the path. So now we have these little pebbles and some nice sturdy concrete pavers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the path used to be log slices that I laid out kind of like cobbles, but they all rotted and fell apart. We have a little solar lantern. This looks so sweet at night, the candle inside flickering. This bed is also needing a bit of attention. It's not doing too badly. We've got some self-seeded calendula, some pansies in there, and that's a nandina that I put in. Yeah, it's not looking too bad. It's looking green anyway, and there's some color. Obviously it looks amazing in summer. Here we have an escalonia. Absolutely love this. It's just so low maintenance. You just stick it in and ignore it, and it looks amazing all year round. Evergreen, and then it has these gorgeous little pink flowers. Some more things that aren't flowering yet, but then there's things that are. We've got a self-seeded linaria that's come up. Got some snowflakes. This is one of my favorite hydrangeas. They are gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. They come out lime green and then they go to a deep, deep purple. So there's a pyrrhus that's getting ready to flower. My dwarf azalea is flowering. This is Pax. It's like a fluffy white one. You can see it's been raining. So that's how that's all looking. There's my greenhouse. I will link my greenhouse tour here for you. This little bed has a bit of colour in as well. Got some self-seeded calendula. Put a bit of calendula in and you'll never have to plant it again. It just seeds itself everywhere. So if you don't like them, don't put them in. I didn't really used to like the really bold yellow and orange, but now I quite enjoy it. It's nice to see a bit of colour in the garden. So here we have some hellebores. How gorgeous is that? And cyclamen. This is still a bit of a disaster. So I made a video on how to make raised beds out of pallets, which is what I did, and then I made another video which I will link here, which is the update video telling you which mistakes not to make. So the main mistake I made was not lining them with plastic, and they are literally all falling to pieces. So we are replacing them with these metal beds, and we've been working really hard to do that. Got some of them planted up. Still have another row to complete here, and then here is these are going to be removed. There's going to be a hedge there so that our guests don't look out over our veggie plot, so I can kind of work here whenever and not be overlooking them and they're not overlooking me. So that's the plan. So we've still got a bit of work to do. I will talk about these in a minute, but I just want to go around here. These are seedlings. I started from seed almost a year ago and then potted on and never actually planted out. So we'll see if any of those will end up in the garden, but I don't know. That's just how crazy last year was. So this is what I call the courtyard garden. So there's our guest house, and I've started putting in a few evergreen things. This was all annuals and perennials, and I've kind of cleared that out. So this does need attention. It's looking a bit bedraggledy, but anyway, I'll get there. This is the state of these beds. Not great. So a lot of soil to shift. You might remember there were two huge peach trees here. They never really produced fruit. They don't give us shade, or they do in the wrong place. We don't really want to shade our veg beds, and we ended up just cutting them down. I'm just going to pick this up because they fall down and they have nails sticking out, so it's a bit dangerous. Okay, so coming around here, we could have continued the line of beds further, but we decided to leave this whole area empty for our pumpkin patch next year. We do enjoy growing pumpkins and butternuts and things. So here are the new beds, and as you can see, some of them have these corrugated iron tops on. They just kind of fit into the bed. So we had some iron given to us, and Grant cut them as lids, so they just sit on the soil and they close off beds that I'm not using, that aren't planted up. And this is so helpful to keep the weeds down, because as you can see, anything you don't give attention to, the weeds just take over, and it's a constant battle. So we're just trying to make things a little bit lower maintenance, and these lids are really going to help. So some of the beds have things planted in. I've got cauliflowers and broccolis and things growing here. These are planted later, so I can't really see anything heading up, but you can see my cauliflowers here. Got some broccoli, that's full of carrots, but I didn't really want to plant up these because it's winter now, so whatever I plant is going to take so long to grow that I'm going to want to plant out my summer crops before they're ready. So I thought I'll just close them off with the lids, and then I can pop my summer and spring goodies in when I'm ready. It's just so rewarding to see gorgeous veg growing in my garden. Okay. The berry cage is a disaster. These beds are going to have to go, both of them, but I'm going to cut out flower beds. I'm not going to do raised beds here. This one is kind of shaded, and we're probably just going to put another photinia at the end there. And that one, yeah, we're just gonna make them into flower beds. This needs pressure washing. I'm going to paint this the same color as the fence, that dark color. And then we're probably going to go hard out with strawberries in there. I'm not sure. I really want to put raspberries in there. Got some garlic coming up. I only stuck them in just over a week ago and they're poking up, so that's exciting. I'll go back to this bed. So there's some things that have come back or that are evergreen. I've got scabiosa, commelina, aquilegia, some more hellebores here. They're just so beautiful. Self-seeded calendula everywhere. That's how that's looking. I did sneakily cut a new bed. As I was cutting it, I was going, I'm not cutting a new bed. I'm just creating an edge for Noah to mow around, and just like weeding out at the bottom of the tree. I cut a new bed. Like, who are we kidding? That's not how it's going to look. That's just temporary, because Noah doesn't like mowing right up against the trees. So what it's actually going to be is a big bed, but I'm going to do it kind of, yeah, they're going to work together, these three beds. That one, this one, and this one. So it's going to be a big bed around all 4 trees with a path going through. So this is just temporary. These are succulents that I pulled out somewhere else and I just threw here, and it rooted down and spread. So they're doing really well. So this is a shade bed. This is going to continue around there. And I might grow clematis or something to grow up the actual berry cage. We'll see. It's not looking as populated as I'd like, but my lamium's doing well. That's spreading beautifully, and I even harvested some of this to put in another bed. I've got a hollyhocks there, I've got a couple of hydrangeas, I've got some ferns, pelargonium, that's a hellebore. Obviously things in shade aren't going to flourish and bloom as well as things in sun, even if they are shade tolerant. Got a little cyclamen there. That is how that is looking. I want to address this little shed soon. All these trees are going to have beds around them, but not like little blobby beds like that. I want them to all work together, so I've got to kind of make a plan. The junkyard. We do use things. For example, the iron. We used it to make lids on the bed, so we do actually use stuff in the junkyard there. But if you're standing here, you don't really see it. I made that screen, and then it's behind the shed. So the shed, I want to make like a little bed around it and like a little entrance path to it, and it desperately needs a pressure wash. These are our hazel trees, and they have not produced hazelnuts since I pruned them so hard, because they'd never been looked after, and I gave them a good hard pruning a couple of years ago, and they just haven't given us hazelnuts since, which is a bit sad. But again, I want to do a big bed there with like a path going through there, but I'm doing them in stages as I can handle them. I've made the mistake before of just like cutting beds galore and then not being able to deal with all of them. This is an apple tree. You can see it was cut down to a stump and it's sprouted back. Most of our trees need attention. We've got all these old olive trees that don't really give shade, they're not very attractive, and they don't produce any olives. And we want to cut them down. That one's been left, that one was cut back. You cannot kill an olive tree. So it's like sprouted up, and doesn't that look so much better? I think it looks better. It's fuller and greener and lusher than this like straggly one that's reaching for the light. So yeah, we need to give our trees a bit of attention. This is Grant's pride and joy, his grapevine. It's one single vine and it goes all the way to here. That's probably not correct or like the right way of doing it, but anyway, he has fun cultivating his grapevine, so I'll just leave him to it. This back border is supposed to go around that tree and then continue. These were olive trees, but I just haven't got there yet. I'll just scan around so you can kind of see where we are in relation to the house. This is kind of the back corner. Veggie garden down there. And yeah, we have like a million sheds. So this was an old peach tree that we cut right back because it was diseased, and it's kind of sprouted up again. More trees that need attention. This olive tree I want to take much lower and let it bush out, and then that weird tree that's like right up against that one needs to come out. Anyway, this all needs addressing. And then of course we have wood chipping to do when we cut the trees, so it's a lot of work, so we're just not doing that right now. So this bed is not looking great. There's some things in it that are working, like this arctotis, but for the most part this definitely needs attention. I've got another hydrangea there. Some things that need to be pulled out. I do have some shrubs that are doing well, and I planted a camellia hedge that just seems to be growing quite slowly, but it's taking off, so hopefully eventually we'll have a hedge of greenery with flowers, and I'll show you how that's doing. So we alternated pink and white. So the pink one's been blooming, you can see buds there, and it looks like the white one's budding up as well. This is Westringia. I love this. I need to put more of that in. So that's flowering. I've got strawberries going all through the back because this particular one just wanted to keep making more foliage and not very many berries, so we just kept it in as ground cover, but it doesn't look great in the winter. I've got hollyhocks all along the back as well. My viburnum is flowering and putting on beautiful new growth even though we're in winter. So I think this is my white one, camellia. Got foxgloves, more Loropetalum, that's also flowering. It doesn't matter where you live, there is something you can plant that looks good in the winter. Even if you're in snow, you can do like dogwood, which has red sticks coming out of the ground. You can make your garden look pretty in winter. And I know that doesn't matter to everyone, but it really matters to me because I struggle in winter, and it's just nice to look out and see some colour and life. So this whole corner needs attention. Oh, we need to have a close-up of that camellia. It's huge. So pretty. So yeah, this whole corner needs attention, like big time. Those are just going to rot back there, all of those logs. And I need to clear all of this, like grass, old sticks. That is like a mound of soil. So I'm going to keep that kind of as a bank back there. I want to plant really tall things going around this corner. Look at all my snowflakes, aren't they beautiful? They're similar to snowdrops, but I love the little green dots on them. Anyway, coming here, this is my cabin that we run our online store from, and we have an oak tree right here. So I want to make like a little doorway there. Let me stand this side. So loads of tall things going around the corner, little doorway here, and like a little shaded seating area back there. That is the plan for the summer, and as you can see I have my work cut out for me. This is the new bed that I cut. We have 2 apple trees, a pear tree and a lemon tree, and then I've put in some shrubs and things, ground cover and whatnot. They're brand new, well, brand newly planted by me, so it's going to take a while to fill in, but hopefully this will look good. And it's been so nice to just have the bed and this like little path to look at through the kitchen window. So bit by bit I'll do slices of the garden, and eventually, hopefully we'll get there. So the cabin, on either side I have this pot, and in there I have a hebe and ranunculus, and that one's like flowering like crazy. And then on either side I've got 3 dwarf azaleas. These are Mrs. Kint. Aren't they stunning? They look like they're white with like pink watercolor painting in them, and then the red stamens. I think they're so pretty. So hopefully those will grow to like a little low hedge and cover up the foundations, although I am thinking of painting the foundations the same color as the fence and the pots and the step and making them dark. Speaking of, need to still paint the fence. I mean, how can you not be cheered by that? So pretty. Again with the dwarf azaleas. I've got some aquilegia and odds and ends here, lots of weeds. This all needs clearing. Bit of a junk pile back there as well, and a wood pile. Fence needs painting. This is our cork oak. This thing thrashes around in the windstorms we get, but it is so like bendy, it never breaks. It's literally like encased in cork. It's pretty cool. So that is how that looks. I'll run you past this bed quickly. I've got a pelargonium stuck in the end that I propagated, but it's not looking great. Like, it looks fine here, but as you can see it's like flopping over, and I'm probably going to pull that out and put something else in there. Some odds and ends, but this also needs attention. Westringia mundi. And then here is our Washline garden. Another dwarf stock, Loropetalum. I've got some Stakes over there, Pilia. This was like a little house plant I got from the warehouse, and it got really big and I planted it out. Nandina. That is my other favorite hydrangea. It's a beautiful deep sky blue and I love it. And as you can see, the ground is littered with pink blossom petals because we have what we think is a nectarine tree that just looks gorgeous at this time of year. I'd say we think it's a nectarine because this is what we get in the middle of winter. Beautiful blossoms all over it. There's a rare bee. Usually there aren't bees flying around, and we get windstorms and all the blossoms get knocked off and we don't get fruit. That's why we don't know what fruit it actually is. We've had a couple of fruits that don't really ripen and they seem to be nectarines, but it's joyful to see these gorgeous pink blossoms in the middle of winter when you just feel like spring is so far away. So that's how this is looking. I did have a bit of a tidy up. I need to get some ground covers and things in. This is the pool area, the controversial pool area. Let's not talk about this. We wanted to get it concreted, but there's a couple of other home renovation projects that we're really excited about, so this is probably going to wait another year. So we do have like a portable pool that we put up, and then we're right back around to the front again. So I hope you enjoyed my midwinter garden tour. Like I said, I'm still learning. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I have learned so much in the last 4 years, and it's so rewarding to see some of my efforts paying off and things starting to look like I want them to. I need to take pictures of the garden because it's really good to look back at photos and see how far I've come, and I'm going to go and do that now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.